try to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out.
Hey folks, welcome to Two Middle-Aged Guys Trying to Work It All Out. I'm Dave, and with me, as usual, as always, as with no exception, other than the occasional shorts that we do.
Yeah, as most of the time, it's me, Chris.
I didn't want to be like so exact or declarative, like you want to leave us a little wiggle room. As usual, is in like 90% of the time. How about that?
I appreciate you not getting me into a potential legal situation down the road. It could be
taken as a guarantee, and then someday when you're not here, then we get sued for this podcast that we do, which costs us money somehow. And yeah,
our audience is a very litigious group, which I've never understood, but good on you. Thanks for keeping us honest, I guess.
Yeah, yes. Send us DVDs, and then weird, obscure European DVDs that we will talk about, then destroy, and then get upset. Even though they know I hate physical media, I'm going to destroy it or something like that. Or at least that's the way it used to be. I think I've maybe turned over a new leaf, but litigious. I have a whole team of lawyers always batting away nuisance lawsuits from listeners. Thank you. Like, subscribe, sue. We just should add if we still had a webpage, we could just add a button to sue us.
Yeah,
right there on the website.
That would be very efficient. Interesting that you brought up the webpage, Dave. What happened with that? Why don't we let the listeners know? Because I know I've had a few people ask me, and I've just made up a story each time.
Well, I mean, obviously, the story that we're going to tell in the real story, they diverge a little bit. We sold to the numeral 2 middleagedguys.com for big bucks. Folks, I never have to work again tonight. I have to work tomorrow, but I was able to take one day off. No, you know what? The website was cool, but we decided we're going to invest our money and time in other things. And it was cool. We still own the name. We're just not keeping it up for now, although, it could still come back when we have some cool ideas. But for now, I think we'll focus on, we have the social media presence, our Facebook page, and really the show. The show itself is our presence. So
above everything else, it is not a sign that the show is going anywhere. So the few people who were perhaps celebrating, I'm sorry to rain on your parade, but we are still recording episodes, still posting episodes.
Oh, was that Anthony? Was he really happy that we're our friend Anthony from the Retro Gamers?
Because of the litigation, I can't specify who.
All right. Well, let me see. This stack of subpoenas, a process server has just broke into the T-Mag Studios, and okay. No. This is the website. Just we, like I said, still own the domain. Got to figure out what we really want to do with it. It hadn't been updated meaningfully, other than to post our episodes in a long time. So focus on our Facebook presence, which is free, and of course our the show itself. And maybe YouTube. We'll figure out some other things to do, but the website itself just wasn't being utilized fully. So
no, it was not. And we still have the email address, which I'm sure you guys will be reminded of at the end of the episode. But enough technical.
If I could remember it,
Dave.
Yes, maybe, yes. Let me go look that up. No, I'm just kidding. I remember it.
Well, I have a story to tell you. And it is a story that leads me not only to today's topic, but it also leads me to a question that I'm looking forward to your answer. Now, the story I have to tell is it's been a hot minute since you and I recorded, and in that interim, I took my youngest child to one of our local Comic-Con conventions, and there was cosplaying involved, not by me, but it was a fun time to be had. But the thing that really struck me about attending this Comic-Con was, as I'm walking around, a middle-aged guy, someone who is steeped in this kind of culture, who had read comic books his entire life, who has seen all of the science fiction and fantasy movies. I am not a stranger to this world.
You think of yourself as being the target audience for a Comic-Con. You would think
Absolutely.
of yourself as that way. Yeah.
Absolutely,
and I think to preface this is a small regional Comic-Con. This is not San Diego. This is not New York. This is Springfield, Missouri.
Right.
So, just adjust your vision of what this is.
Well, and it was a wonderful con. I mean, they did a great job putting it on. It was a great venue, very well attended. But as I'm walking around this con and I'm looking,
who is the big celebrities there? Just to, again, to give perspective of size.
Sure. The guy who does the voice of Scooby-Doo, he was there.
Okay. All right.
Jonathan Frakes, Commander William Riker of the Starship Enterprise, he was there. Brent Spiner, Lieutenant Commander Data of the same Starship Enterprise,
and the
was there.
waxy face guy from Independence Day, that scientist. Yeah, he's
yes,
Brent
that's
Spiner
true.
plays that as well. Yeah.
And speaking of Independence Day, Sir Randy Quaid was there. I believe he's been knighted.
Okay. That is true royalty. Truly. Get William and Kate, get off the throne. That's not a toilet joke. I think they have thrones.
And then there were a lot of wrestling celebrities there who I'm sure our friends would be aware of who they were.
Sure. Anthony and Larry. Yeah. What are they doing at a Comic-Con? I know I'm taking you off your story here, but
no, I don't
seriously,
know.
Someone, listener,
I
Larry,
guess
tell us.
Just across, culture, it's seating. Like the people who will pay for Jonathan Frakes' signature will also pay for insert wrestling guy's name here. When
they have a big WWE convention, if someone shows up, dressed as John Constantine, nothing to do with wrestling, is that okay? Because they threw the crossover appeal. I don't think it is.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
I'm throwing it down, wrestlers. Stay out of my con. I don't know. I didn't go to this one, so.
No, you did not. You were not there. But anyway,
I didn't. Now it's too expensive. Sorry.
It was really expensive. I won't go into that. Anyway, here is the point of my story. This is what I'm trying to get to. As me, the target audience for a convention like this, is walking around, I recognize zero of the cosplays.
Oh, no.
I have no idea who these characters are. I'm desperately looking for a Darth Maul or for a Doctor Who character, anything, and I'm just being faced with incredible costumes that I have no idea what they are. Yeah. And so I'm constantly leaning over to one of my children, and I'm like, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" And most of them, and that is not a scientific most, it is just what it felt like. Most of them were from the you're gonna have to help me with the title, the Digital Circus robot.
The Digital Circus. I think it's just called Digital Circus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Most of them were from that, which I have no knowledge of because the world has passed me by.
Yeah. I know enough of it. My 9-year-old had watched it a few times, and my wife and I looked at it, and it's not appropriate for 9-year-olds. So that's all I know about it is enough to have said, nope, check back in when you're 14, and we'll see if this is still something you're interested in. Then we'll talk about it. But at 9.
It was one of those moments where you just kind of feel old, and you're like, wow, I guess I'm not keeping up with the times. And so this leads me to my question that I have posed for you, Dave. Were you going to attend a Comic-Con? And were you going to cosplay? What would you go to Comic-Con as?
Oh, okay. I'm sure thinking back previous years when I've went and cosplayed, which is never. Okay, all right. I got that out of the way. So we did so for reference, 4 years ago, my wife and I went to this same Comic-Con. The big celebrity there was Lou Ferrigno. And it would not, he was the only real celebrity there. I don't think there was anyone else. There was a few other people that were there, but he was the big one. It was similar to what you're describing, but not as big. I think it's grown in the recent years, but I too struggled to recognize anyone. A lot of anime stuff, that I knew just from the style. And they were all doing the Naruto run or whatever that was. No, they weren't doing that. I don't know, maybe they were. I tripped them, they fell, and I was ejected. So if I were to go to a Comic-Con with my idea of what Comic-Con should be, not in an ironic sense, or as a joke, or trying to, fit in with the crowd and be like a digital, the Amazing Digital Circus or whatever, or Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever. I'm sure those other things were. Well, I think John Constantine, right? Totally. Yeah, I'd start smoking, doing magic. So I'll do a couple, right? So that one is also just clothes, right? So, you might look like a sort of a shabby businessman who, maybe drinks and smokes too much, but you're
Why
not.
is that guy cosplaying as Sting?
Yeah, why is he cosplaying as Sting, who just got fired from his middle management job in Britain circa 1987? So that's an easy one, right? But I guess if I was going to do something more traditional, oh my goodness. That's a really tough one. Constantine's an easy one, and first of all, that's actually sincere, right? I that's a cool looking comic book character, and you could do that, in you could almost pull it off, right? The way I look. I mean, I'm a white guy with blondish hair, and I can grow stubble, so I could do that. So what else? Man, that is really, really interesting. I could just keep doing like sort of average middle-aged dudes. Like I'll be Maxwell Lord. Okay. I'll be, just keep going with that. Wow. Okay. I'll do one that still is in my wheelhouse. But I would seriously consider being like Daryl from The Walking Dead. Which is in that Comic-Con sort of sphere. I could be David Lynch's character from Twin Peaks.
That's a good one. I like that.
Philip Jeffries. I could be Philip Jeffries. Oh, baby, no, or whatever. I can't. I'm not going to do the Philip. Please, that would be So no, there are several that I could do that I think would be in that vein. And all of the ones I just would be wearing normal clothes. Daryl from The Walking Dead would be just wearing filthy biker's clothes and not washing my hair for several weeks. But if I had to do a traditional Comic-Con, oh man, those are the ones that I can come up with off the top of my head. I just could not see myself putting on an outfit that was just too outfitty, right? How about you? What would you wear?
Yeah, so I've thought about this as well because the question was posed to me by my family while we were at Comic-Con. And I've got two answers. One of them is in the similar vein to what you threw out, which is just kind of a normal clothes kind of guy. And I'll share that one with you. And then my other one is a little bit more like dress up. Like I would really have to put effort into it. But my problem with both of these is no one would know what the heck I was. like the references are so far gone from what I feel is the current audience for a con that it would just be a complete waste of my time. But the normal clothes one I would go as a villager because I could not pull off Patrick McGowan. So I would not go as number 6. I would just pick a different number, wear some kind of a 1960s Britishy kind of striped shirt.
Like a jaunty hat,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah. I would go as a villager. And like
for those of you that don't know, a villager from The Prisoner, the show The Prisoner,
yes,
right? So
absolutely.
Stop what you're doing, look up The Prisoner, watch 16 hours of outstanding, mid-60s British television, come back, take no breaks. And finish this
not
episode.
even restrooms. No. Yeah.
Get catheterized is also
also required for what we're telling you to do. So that's simple, right? Like you could still, when you leave the con, you could take the button off, you could take the hat off. You wouldn't look super out of place, to stop by McDonald's on your way home or whatever.
Giant weather balloon like tethered to your leg, following you. Like,
see, now you're taking it into that step farther, where it's becoming more of the cosplay, if you will. So that one crossed my mind. The other one that is completely obscure, unfortunately, and I think the series deserves a lot more credit than it gets. But I am a middle-aged man. I'm overweight. I am completely bald. So that limits my cosplay a little bit there. So I would go as a Centauri from the show Babylon 5.
Yes,
because I think I could pull that off with the giant fluff of hair in the back, and the beard suits that costume. Get some kind of a regal jacket thing, the crazy accent. I think that would be fun, and me and the one other guy amongst tens of thousands of people who got it, we would have a good time with that. So yeah, but I'm not that kind of person. When I love attending cons, and I'm going to attend them in jeans and a t-shirt, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I'm a people watcher at an event like that, and and that's great, right? Please dress up. In fact, please, it makes it more entertaining for the rest of us. And I'm not meaning that like I'm laughing at you. It's just you're obviously enjoying yourself, folks. Dress up, and don't mind, that I'm not dressed up.
Right. And I mean, the skill on display with some of this cosplay work is remarkable. And it's not, I love it because it's not somebody that had a lot of money and bought a costume. I mean, these people are constructing it and doing it to a very high level of artistic quality. So hats off to them. I think it's a tremendous hobby, and I love seeing it live in cons. I love seeing pictures of it online, just with what people will do. So thank you for answering that question, Dave. That was my Comic-Con story, and let me tell you why it matters to today's topic.
Because our sponsor is Regional Comic-Cons.
No,
and this was a long form commercial.
Not,
we were finally going to get paid.
Yeah, no, we didn't get that contract signed.
Okay.
So.
Put my costume that I was just getting ready to put on away. It's good. I was dressing up as Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon.
Oh, there you go. That's a good cosplay.
I knew you would appreciate that.
So the how this connects is I'm having a lot of thoughts of, well, back in my day, when we had good characters that we could dress up as and go to and I started to feel a little guilty about that. Like even though I'm not saying this out loud, this is all just the narrative in my head. I was like, why was it really better back in my day? We hear that a lot, and I feel like we say that a lot based on the premise of our podcast is that, we're pining for our lost youth and the nostalgia of old. But I wonder, what are the bad things from our past and the history and things that truly are not better in my day, that today modern convenience or technology or whatever has truly improved upon? So I want to spend some time talking about the bad old days.
Well, let me get on my hiking boots here so that I can walk backwards in the snow 12 miles in those bad old days. May I start this off? Because
please.
I inadvertently, truly, I think it works, inadvertently gave away my first thing that was better now, worse in the bad old days. That is footwear. Footwear in our younger days, let's just say early teens, mid-teens, whatever, right? In any time. In fact, I think you could probably apply this just at any point where you are and where you were 20 years ago, if you were alive. Footwear now, the comfort, the selection, the way it looks, the aesthetics, the price, the value, it's all better now. And I know things generally improved, but I think footwear is just a striking one where, in the late 80s, early 90s, those of lesser means, I mean, they wore really crappy Walmart shoes that didn't last very long, that were not comfortable, and they were really pretty ugly. And I'm not like, if that's what the money that you had, right? That's what you could afford. That's what you got, right? And now, really good footwear has become attainable at almost any price point, right? And even the Walmart footwear is not crappy. It doesn't look terrible. They look like knockoffs of known styles. They're more comfortable than the cheap brands were back then, and they last a little bit longer. Footwear is one of those things where you get what you pay for, right? I mean, it does. If you invest $100 in a pair of shoes, you'll get $100 out of it, generally speaking. I think there's a point of diminishing returns with that, like there is with anything. But footwear is one of those where going cheap doesn't always work. But yeah, I mean, buying budget shoes, back when we were young, I mean, they're just, they were ugly and they didn't feel good. And now you can, on a budget, get good brands, or something that looks like a good brand, close enough. And so it was an extremely middle-aged choice here that I think something we can say definitely better now. Get on my lawn. I say footwear, get on my lawn. I want you on my lawn.
Yes. That's an interesting choice. And I wonder, and this is just me completely talking off the top of my head, I wonder if it's less about like the quality per price improved and more just like the attention to footwear improved. Like it felt like to me when we were kids, shoes were almost an afterthought. It was like, well, you got to have them. So
they were
here's
purely
something
exactly,
exactly
like an umbrella, right?
Yes,
like no one
yes.
thought about their umbrella. I don't even think about it now, but fair.
Yeah.
I think we were part of the generation where that started to change, because that's when Jordan and that's when Jordans happened, right? And then I think it did start to change. So you may be totally right, that footwear became important, and people started to care. But that's an interesting thought. I did not consider that. But yes, thank you, Michael Jordan, for nice shoes.
It doesn't change the fact that they're better today than they were, back then.
A $20 pair of shoes today is better than a $20 pair of shoes in the 80s by far, right? And a $20 pair of shoes in the 80s was an expensive. It was a mid-priced pair. I remember the first like truly mid-priced pair of shoes that I got. I can remember everything about them. They were $29.95. I was 12 years old, which would have been in 1990. And I bought a pair of Jordache high tops. They were black, gray, white and red, and with a little tiny bit of red, but they were the Jordache brand, the Jordache jeans, the horse, right? They made shoes. They were sort of a mid-price, type brand. I got them at Ventures store, which was a Midwest, like basically it's Target, right? I mean, it's a Walmart, it's a Kmart, but really Ventures was the Target of its day. It sold a little nicer stuff than Walmart did, certainly than Kmart did, and I got a pair of them, and they were $30, and they ended up getting taken back. I wore them once, and they didn't fit right, so we ended up taking them back, and I don't think they had my size. So I ended up, getting something else, but that was not. But that was at $30 mid. That was mid price. I mean, that was a luxury purchase for us. And they were thinking back, they were pretty hideous, but that was. Gosh, that was like spending $1 jillion back then, and they were not that great. Now I could spend $30, and I could, if I shopped hard for $30, I could get a pair of Nikes, or maybe a pair of New Balance, and certainly. If not for $30 in adjusted dollars, which would be probably $50 or $60, I could easily walk out with a pair of like really nice, super comfy, like New Balance or whatever, or even Skechers. Skechers are fine shoes. I wore a pair of Skechers all day long today. It's just in the mid price. I say all that to say the luxury purchase that I got then was not that nice. And for now, I can get budget shoes that absolutely blow them away, will last longer, feel more comfortable, and look better for somehow less money. And I'm very happy, that I no longer have to consider buying. Do you remember this brand of budget footwear, Voit, that they sold at Walmart? VOIT.
Were they like shocking colors, like lime greens and stuff like that?
I don't think so. I think I remember them. They could have had those, but I remember a lot of black and a little bit of white, like the word Voit on the side. And white.
I don't know that I remember this.
Yeah, and I know they made a lot of, and they were like $6.98, right? They were truly the budget pair of the faded glory shoes for those who shop at Walmart. Thankfully we don't have to see those anymore. And even like I said, the cheapos. And now people take care of their stuff. And I occasionally my wife will buy secondhand shoes, and you can find really good deals. It kind of grosses me out. I don't really like to do it, but but if you bargain shop, you can get unworn used pairs that people bought online, couldn't return, and find really great deals. But yeah, shoes.
that market didn't really exist when we were kids either, because I mean, we wore shoes until they disintegrated
They fell
on our
off
feet.
your feet. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Either they fell off or your feet became one with them, and yeah.
Yes. Interesting pick. Footwear.
Very utilitarian pick.
No,
Yeah,
it's
what
good.
do you remember your budget footwear brands of the day? I mean, do you have a like LA Gear? That was actually that was a mid-price brand. LA Gear was.
I don't remember. Because like I've never paid that much attention to shoes.
Yeah.
And in fact, I probably bought my first pair of shoes where I sought out a specific brand for the first time in my life, like a few months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let us in. Open the curtains and let the listener in.
It is a type of boot called a Blundstone. And it's an Australian shoe.
Is that
and
for
the
fighting
reason
vampires?
I bought one,
It sounds like something you would fight vampires with. Okay.
Totally, yeah. That you can use a cross, you can use garlic, or you can use Blundstones. No,
so it's Australian. Did Paul Hogan? That's a shoe. Did he? That's a knife. That's not a knife.
He
that's
personally got the pair I tried on. Yeah, and he's really old now, so I felt bad making him do that, but it's how they sell them. No, so the reason I got them, and they're not cheap boots, but I have been doing a lot more filming for my career lately, and my feet were killing me. And so I Googled, I was like, what shoe do like professional gaffers and grips and stuff wear on set? And this name kept coming up. And so I was like, oh, well, I got to try these out. And there was a place in the mall that sold them. So I went and tried them on, and I was like, "Oh, these are amazing," and they're fantastic. They really are. They still look like the day I bought them, and they have cured my foot pain. Absolutely worth every penny.
See,
so prior
shoes
to that,
really do count, right? The whole you spend money on shoes, you get what you pay for. I mean, like I said, there's a luxury point where you're buying like a Bruno Mali's if you're O.J. Simpson, or any of those other things, right? It's probably not so. You don't quite get the return on them. But if really $100 pair of shoes is money well spent in most cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't remember a lot of the shoes from my youth because I just did not pay attention to them. They were the utility thing, like I described earlier. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to names as long as they were a color that I kind of liked. Then I was good. Or of course there was that period of time where if they had a Ninja Turtle on them, or something like that, sure, I was very excited about.
6 months ago. Did you stop that?
Yeah, maybe. You didn't ask what were on the Blundstones, but anyway, we're moving past this topic now.
You said blunt. Is it blunt? B-L-U. I'm terrible at spelling out loud.
BLUNDSTONE.
Okay.
Blundstones. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean, look them up. They're gorgeous boot shoe combo thing. I don't know what you call
boot shoe, as in the boot shoe boogie, boot scoot boogie. Excuse me.
That's a different thing.
Okay, that's our big boogie episode. Our Chris and Dave's favorite dances. Top 3.
Boy.
Macarena is saving the Macarena for last. We agreed on the Macarena.
You just gave it away.
I did. We did. Yeah.
Right.
So okay. Wow. All right. Shoes. This is such a dorky middle-aged topic. So listeners, please tell us your favorite budget 90s shoe. Regale us of stories of how you really wanted Reeboks, but you ended up with I don't know, the LA Gears, right? Because trust me, LA Gears. I would have loved an LA Gear in the 90s.
Yeah, but no,
you remember that,
had
right?
points.
You've got to remember LA Gear.
I remember LA Gears,
Okay,
yes.
right.
Yeah, I don't think I ever owned one or looked at one or tried a pair on, but I remember them being in the shoe store. So
I remember seeing them at Montgomery Ward's. I don't think they sold those at Adventures. So I think at Montgomery Ward's is where I probably saw those. So
you have made me feel better about my first pick because it is an equally middle-aged thing to pick.
All right.
And I was a little worried coming into this that your list would be all like, remakes of movies that are better, or something like that. So I'm glad you went kind of a utilitarian direction. I like this. So my bad old day pick is Maps.
Oh,
Maps have gotten so much better.
Oh yeah.
Like I would have been terrified to drive anywhere outside of my city before GPS. Like I would not have been comfortable doing it because I can't read a paper map all that well. I don't like, even if I stop and ask for directions and I get the direction, I get back in my car, I'm like, no, what did he say? Turn by the what? And I would be perpetually lost without some kind of navigational guidance thing. And now that it's built into our phones, I mean, how great is that? I don't even have to buy a separate device that leads me where I need to go. It's right there. And that I'm not saying that we rely on our maps and we don't understand cardinal directions or where we're going or things like that. But my goodness, being in a strange city and knowing that I can just plug in the address of my hotel and I'm going to get back there, that is so comforting to me.
It is.
So I say maps, leave them in the old days. Who needs those kinds of maps?
Well, let me get my scrolls out here and my cartographer that I pay to do all of my travel planning for me. What an interesting choice. Do you remember the last time you bought a road atlas or any other kind of paper map?
I do not.
I do. It's been about a decade for us, but I used to before we would go on road trips, and for a long time. In fact, really, honestly, we just stopped around COVID for various reasons. It's just the way things in our life worked. We would do a couple times a year, big driving road trips. Sometimes just us, but other times with other members of the family. So caravanning, for many, many years, we would each bring an atlas if there was multiple people, because if I had a BlackBerry and somebody else in my family had a dumb phone, there was, or maybe one of the members of one of the parties had an iPhone 3, and this is actually a situation that happened. I had a BlackBerry. One car had a BlackBerry, me. One car had paper maps. The other car had an early iPhone, and so navigation was, or maybe it wasn't an early iPhone. Maybe it was actually a Garmin. One of them had, but at any rate, tough to sync things up, right? So we all got the same road atlas to make sure that we could all talk the same language. So probably a decade ago is when we stopped buying those. I actually was decent at using them. Not going to be great. Actually, I have one story where was on one of those trips. Gosh, it's probably 12 years ago, where we stopped in Birmingham. So up from Florida on our way to Missouri, Birmingham, Alabama, and we stopped there to eat dinner, and we were trying to get back on the road, the right highway to get back towards home. And we spent, I'm not joking, probably 90 minutes just circling the town of Birmingham trying to find it. The GPS that one member of the household had, this was probably 14 years ago now that I think of it, was not updated, did not have the appropriate update, so it was totally just useless. And it was really, the atlas was out of print, and we really struggled. And that was really tough. So it could be a huge challenge. At the macro, a big picture, getting from Missouri to Florida, an atlas was great because you could draw the little line with your highlighter on the map, and you get a big 10,000 foot view. We are going to be taking this highway to this highway to this highway, and that would summarize the trip. But it was all the little details, the exits, the interchanges, the short trips and treks down a state road to get from one highway to another. That is where you could get really lost, and that's where atlases were not so great and where your GPSs are super, super great. So 1,000% agree. But there is something cool about a nice road atlas, right? They're nice. They got thick, glossy pages. They feel good in the hand. You feel like, I'm really trapped. You think of it yourself like you're sailing the seas, like you're like, let's get our star charts out, kids. And how the wind, how's it blowing back there? Honey, my wife is
maps are gorgeous. Yeah. Like there's a nice aesthetic to them. Like I get it. And I agree with you that it's fine for high level, right? Like plotting a course from Springfield to, Massachusetts. All right, there's my line. I get it. But it's when I'm in the thick of things and there's 6 lanes of traffic around me and I got to get to this one specific exit. That's where paper maps fail me every single time. And it spikes my anxiety even thinking about it. So having that magic voice saying, in 1/4 of a mile, like that is the
Yep.
world to me, and it gives me the confidence and the courage to get in a car and go somewhere. Whereas without that, I would just perpetually be waiting for a driver. I think I'd Uber everywhere, which would get very
Very
expensive.
pricey. Yes.
Yeah. Just take me to Florida, good man.
Yeah, I remember the first time I rented a car and had a GPS in it. Pre-smartphone days. This is like in '98, maybe. I mean, I don't remember the exact date, but it was like I would step into the future, and never wanted to look back. This is a fantastic choice, and truly speaks to the utility of technology. Yeah, and all the skills I learned from as a tracker, as an Old West tracker that I learned, smelling dung on the road and throwing the grass to the wind to see which direction. Those are cool skills to have. They're totally useless now, but that's all right. I will accept the obsolescence of those sorts of skills to further my ability to get to a mall in a distant city. What a great choice. Do you recall the last time that you got super lost in pre GPS? Do you have any great stories about that?
Yeah, I do actually. I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I had printed out directions from MapQuest,
Yep.
which I'm sure that will ring a bell. And I was following them to the best of my ability, and I was just getting nowhere. Like I was doing loops and was trying to figure out streets and that kind of thing, and finally found a convenience store. And I got out of my car and went up and asked for directions, and the guy gave me directions that were helpful that got me on my way. But where I got off track was there was a northwest street and there was a northwest street.
Oh,
And it's like, why?
Why? Yes.
would you do that? And, the paper map isn't going to help me with that. Whereas the GPS can parse that and explain to me that, no, I need to be on Northwest Street, not Northwest Street.
Yes.
That was the last time I got really super lost.
Did you ever have one of those standalone, like a Garmin or a TomTom or any of that?
I did, yeah. And it just, I got one pretty late to the party. And so the first iPhone, even the first iPhone really kind of replaced it almost immediately. Because even though the first iPhone had, it was edge data and like all those sorts of things, it could still give you a map better than a dedicated GPS
Yep,
could.
to stay up to date, things, yeah.
I remember we bought a minivan once when we started growing our family, and it had the built-in GPS, and it had a dedicated DVD drive
Just for the load the map software.
Just for the maps. And like, so every 2 years, every 4 years, something like that, you could buy an updated DVD that you could slide in there, and it would, refresh your maps for you. It was very useful at first. And then even with the updated DVDs, it just kept getting more and more out of date. And then it got to the point where it was like, I don't trust this thing anymore. Right. And then Steve Jobs invented the iPhone. So
and then you drove into a lake. And no, yes. I'm sure there's some stories about people, following the maps. Yeah. Was that a Chrysler product? I'm trying to remember. I think that they had something like that. Chrysler did.
Ours was a Nissan.
Okay. A Nissan. All right. Yeah. Well, the standalone ones were very cool. Certainly, it was a transitional technology, but it was still really cool. I think one of our cars has GPS. I think our Honda has modern day GPS built into it, but it's like, why? I mean, it doesn't matter, right? And just use your phone. Wow. All right, that's a great choice. Great choice. Okay. Well, I am going to do something a little less serious, of course, than shoes and maps. But this is an interesting one. But I'll pitch it out there. Home theaters are something that I feel like way better today. And maybe I'll qualify it a little bit. Way better. Way more attainable and affordable, but a little less fun Um, and I think we can get into that a little bit more, but it was a sort of a Wild West sort of thing with the old home theaters and kind of figuring it out. It was a hobby. Just the configuration of it was a hobby in and of itself, that you had as much fun building a home theater and using it than you did just, even using it and enjoying the sound. But I do think that now you can get outstanding home theater performance for really a pretty low price point. For the purposes of this, I think I'll focus on the audio side. I think that the video side is kind of self-explanatory, but the audio side, I think might be a little bit more interesting to explore. So I think we'll lean into that. But maybe we can talk about video too, if you want. But yeah, just the whole back in the day. Right. And we'll use the DVD age as the entry point for home theater for most folks, because I think for most middle class folks, because not only are we two middle-aged guys, we are two middle-class middle-aged guys. But the acronym got, it looked like a Roman numeral for a really long number when we started to put the acronym together like that. So we had to bring it back in. It became, DVD opened the door for it. So it was, not only, reasonably priced, but it actually would perform in a way that you would enjoy it. Unlike, the older Pro Logic systems and things like that, which just sounded basically like slightly fancier stereo, or maybe even worse than stereo in some cases. But yeah, the Dolby Digital 5.1, the DTS 5.1, the dedicated subwoofer for your home theater era of home entertainment is what I'm referring to. And what we have now, in what I would consider more of the back in the day, it was like you had the real systems where you went and you bought your receiver, and maybe you bought a receiver and a separate amplifier decoder, and you could build components that way, and then you'd buy your separate satellites and fronts and center, and then a sub, and you'd get this all kind of tuned in, and you could kind of create your system. Or you could buy home theater in a box, which is the thing you bought at Best Buy that was made by Sony or Iowa or AOA, however you say that. That was all the things in one box, and all sort of pre-configured, and you could make a handful of changes, but it was a little bit more easy to do. I think that has now been replaced by soundbar systems. And that for low cost, relatively low cost, give you incredible performance. And that, also disappear into the room. So if you don't have a theater room, or you don't have a big basement where you can have big, gigantic, really cool, but potentially also ugly or not, that don't fit into your room, speakers, now you can get a sound bar that like we have in our house, and you've seen it, it's mounted, the TV is mounted to the wall, the sound bar is mounted underneath the TV. It's all just sort of there. And it just kind of almost disappears into the wall. It's not obtrusive, but it has a really big sound, because I've got all the Sonos stuff hidden around the room. And it's, there's no wires showing, there's no bulky components. It's all built into the sound bar. This age of home theater gives you incredible performance for a relatively low price point. My whole Sonos system, which is, I'll get into this, which is a Sonos Beam 2, which is the Dolby Atmos version of the Beam, with two Sonos One rears and a Sonos Mini Gen 3, I believe, subwoofer. And it does Atmos, but it's all through psychoacoustics, right? Virtual Atmos. It was $1,000, right at $1,000. Which I'm not saying that's not a lot of money, because it truly is, but in terms of performance, you could not touch a system that sounded this good for $5,000 in the year 2000. I mean, it just sounds incredible for compared to what 25 years ago would have bought you for $1,000. It just absolutely blows it away. And it just works too, right? It's kind of turnkey, so it kind of takes the fun out of fiddling, but it also just is nice because it never breaks. It never needs to be, this movie was mastered in this way, or this uses this decoder, so I got to go in and make sure I change this to up my rear channels by, play it hot, like David Lynch would say. You don't have to deal with anything like that. It's got smarts. It's the whole system's correcting itself. It's absolutely fantastic. And you really hardly know it's there. You can kind of see the sound bar under the TV, but everything else is hidden. So I don't. Yeah, home theater.
It's a good choice because it's vastly improved and it's incredibly cheaper than it ever has been in the history of home theater. And I'm going to bring the video component into a little bit, even though you focused on the sound, just because I want to say that when we were growing up, like, you could probably count on one hand the number of people in the city that had a home theater. Like, it did not exist.
Yeah. That's what the president had in the White House, was a theater room.
Exactly.
That's kind of, yes.
Yeah. But now it's kind of the de facto. And it's like, oh, you don't have surround sound?
Right.
Like, can you hear? Like, what's going on? Because it's gotten
okay?
that. Right, exactly.
You don't have surround. You okay?
Do you need help?
Yeah.
Yes. But it's become ubiquitous. And it's gotten that way from not only a use situation where people know, okay, this is the TV I need, and it's going to plug into my audio equipment this way, and done. I've got it set up, but also affordable to the point where at any price point. I think the sound system I have, which is perfectly suitable for my needs. It's not nearly as good or as powerful as yours. I think it cost me $150.
Yeah, the Bose 600, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yours is the Bose version of the Sonos. The Sonos I have and the Bose you have are they're the same class, the same price range. Yeah, and that one sounds absolutely fantastic.
I get what you mean as far as tinkering. When I was employed full time and was single, I had the receiver and the 5.1 surrounds, all that stuff.
You had the sound meter, probably. I think. Did you have a sound meter?
I did.
Go and
yes.
You could, yeah.
Absolutely, I did. Yeah, and there was joy in that, right?
Sure.
But that's a hobbyist thing. Like, that's like something that people like us would do. Most people aren't going to go that way. They would, if they dropped the money on that, they'd plug it in and they'd be like, "Why doesn't this sound quite right?" Because they don't go through the tuning process. And now there is no tuning process. It just, you plug it in and it works, and it's great.
If it's a tuning process, it's an auto thing where you sit in you open an app on your phone, you sit in a position in the room, and you hit a button, and it plays some test signals. It detects the acoustics of the room through the microphone on your phone and automatically sets it. And it's way better than you could do it by ear in 99% of the cases.
Yeah. No, it's really great. And I think DVD is the perfect fulcrum for this conversation because 5.1 existed before DVD, but mainly Laserdisc, which were hideously expensive. And, but if you were the kind of person that was going to have a home theater, you were probably using Laserdiscs. You were probably not using VHS tapes to power that home theater. So, it was really that moment in physical media history that all of this became possible.
Yep.
You had the format that was cheap enough, you had the players that was cheap enough, and then you had the sound systems that were becoming cheap enough that the enthusiasts really got into it, and then it trickled down from there. And now everybody and their brother has some sort of a home theater.
And on the video side, the availability of high quality, large format televisions also started to open up around the DVD age too. Prior to that, you had front and rear projection was how you got your large screens, right? Your screens over, probably 36 inches, right? You were dealing with projection. And, front projection is your typical traditional theater type model, very expensive, requires a dark room. Rear projections were, those are when you think of big screen TVs in the 80s, that's a rear projection TV screen. Massive, very fuzzy, right? It was a trade-off. Like, I got a big picture, but, their faces look like they were redacted for their anonymity, like on America's Most Wanted or something back then. Everybody's face was fuzzied out, so you couldn't tell. I don't know, but it was awful, like in the sense that it looked bad. And then large format TVs, they started to have new projection technologies with DLP and LED projection, LED LCD televisions, plasma. which was the really big hot one at the time. I mean, hot because they would warm a room up like 30 degrees. They were so, but no, they were also incredible looking televisions. They were super pricey when they, in the, mid 90s when this started to hit. But they quickly became attainable to the middle class. And, now, I mean, everybody's got a TV in their living room, just about. Not everybody, but it's common now to see the 65-inch TV in the house, whereas 27-inch TV, it's the new 27-inch TV. That's what every middle class person had, was they wanted to get to was a 27. Maybe they had a 25 a 21 and were saving up. But yeah, that opened the door. It all kind of hit at the same time. In that between 95 and 2000 is when home theater opened up, and it was an incredible time.
No, great answer. Yeah, definitely better now than it was then.
All right, hit me with your next one. It'd be something meaningful, the good of the world, social value for all.
Okay, well, I mean, in my opinion, I tick those boxes. In your opinion, maybe not so much. My second pick is cameras, and cameras mean a lot to me. I mean, that's my career, that's my field, that's what I built my life around. Is cameras, and this is going to be a little bit of controversial conversation for people like me, because there's this this kind of digital versus analog thing happening in the world of cameras. But I will contend that we are spoiled in camera technology in the year 2026. I mean, it is just remarkable what these can do at the price point they're offered at. And is film wonderful? Yes, it is. Is it nostalgic? Is it gorgeous? Is it, fun to use? Yes to all those things. I'm sorry, it's beaten. Like the image quality that you can capture digitally now, it has surpassed analog, except if you're Christopher Nolan and you're shooting an IMAX, that's not this conversation. But cameras can see in the dark. I mean, they can shoot high motion, they can shoot slow motion, they can do amazing things. They can see better than our eyes can see. And you could not have said that a few years ago. So now you have cameras that can resolve just crazy numbers, crazy amounts of color. The fidelity is unmatched, and most of these cameras are in our pockets. They're on phones. And those cameras are just as remarkable as a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 camera that you would go buy that is purpose made for image acquisition. So we are just living in a plethora of cameras. It is a golden age for that technology, and it's way better now than it was back in the day. I'm going to say it. I'm sorry. I like shooting film. Film is beautiful. It has made hundreds of years worth of amazing images, and it's done. We've surpassed it. I'm sorry.
Somewhere Christopher Nolan is crying as he's drinking tea out of a flask.
Listen, I know that IMAX is a special beast. You can arguably say that it is superior to digital acquisition formats. That is not this conversation. Nobody except Christopher Nolan gets to shoot on IMAX, so that does not count to what I'm talking about.
I never thought about this. All right, so could we take into account a couple other things like the portability factor? Do you think that everyone having a camera on their phone is a good thing? And I'm not just from a photography standpoint, but from a social, right? How we think of capturing pictures. It's no longer. I mean, it's basically unlimited. It's infinite, and you can do it anywhere. It's socially acceptable to do it anywhere you want. Is that a positive thing? Is that a net good?
It is a valid question, and it is a valid topic for debate. I think, all said and done, it probably is a net good. There are certainly some negatives to it. And I think that we saw some of those negatives during the transition of this time period, where cameras and photography and filmmaking was a specialized trade to now anybody and their brother can take a picture and can take a good picture. During that transition, we saw some of the growing pains where it was problematic. I think as a society, we have kind of matured with the technology and with the availability of cameras everywhere, to the point now where the biggest detriment you can point at is maybe I don't need to see a photograph of every meal you've ever eaten on your Facebook feed, right? Like, and if that's the negative, I can live with that. I don't have to look at those things. But just the sheer quality of image acquisition, and in my opinion, how important image acquisition is, we're capturing that history. Imagine if we had the amount of photography for the Civil War as we have, with modern historical events. Like, that would be drastically different. Now, the larger question is, will the massive amounts of photography information that we have survive the next 200 years? That's a valid question. And that will be shaken out in the annals of history. I can't adjudicate that here, but I think I would say that is probably a net positive, but maybe just barely.
Yeah, I mean, should it survive, right? I mean, you don't really need, pictures 1 through 40 of your ravioli dish from Olive Garden saved. But when there's so much now that I think the exercise of filtering the wheat from the chaff and the signal from the noise, I guess it's possible that good stuff might get lost. I don't know. There's some social implications to how we interact with things. Like a photograph was a special thing at one time, right? It was costly. A professional did it that had good equipment. If you did it on your own, you typically didn't look very well, and it was expensive, right? You bought a roll of film. You got 20 shots on a roll? I don't know, 24. And so everyone counted, and you didn't know what it was like until you got it developed and paid for it. So thought went into snapping a picture, when you did it, how you did it. Now, of course, that's just, you're shooting tons of pictures of everything, and you out of the dozen you took, maybe one will be good or maybe not.
I would say that rests more in the photographer than the technology, though. You could take a digital camera, and even though you've got 1,000 shots on that camera before you have to change a memory card or change a battery, if you're just burning through them, that's a creative choice. Versus if you are taking your time, framing a photograph, doing it with intention, I don't feel like,
Well, I think that
you don't have to lose that.
You're speaking from the point of view of somebody who is a professional photographer, or I think you could have that same point of view, that same perspective, if you were a really good amateur, right? So everything you're saying is valid, but your lens is a pretty specific, narrow lens. I think everybody else is just like, and
that's true.
My mother-in-law, for example, not picking on her, she's of a certain age, right? A roll of film, developing it, that was a $20 investment, and she doesn't have to think like that about her pictures anymore, and which is perfectly fine, right? I get the real question is that going to make it harder to preserve photographs? Because instead of having from someone's life an album with 200 photos, that a lot of thought and framing and consideration of the moment and of the subject, so you knew that those 200 were worth saving, or 200,000 of which there is 200 worth saving, and you go find them, right? Is that going to actually create less usable memories that get handed down? I don't know. It really, not like, this is not a burning question that we must address, but it is an interesting one that that the availability, the readiness of these techs, it kind of puts a new wrinkle into it.
You're absolutely right.
I've never considered photography like in this way. You've made me dislike photography. You made me think too hard. I am kidding. You made Dave brain hurt. Oh, Chris makes sad.
Well, all that you have to worry about is that the cameras are better today than they were yesterday.
And they're in your pocket.
Yes.
And everybody has one. So have we overstated, you being a professional, I'm interrogating you now. No, you being a professional, have we overstated the capability of these current cameras? Or are they really just really darn good? My iPhone is just a great camera, right? And
it's just a great camera. Yeah. No, it really is. And where you start to see separation in your iPhone camera versus like a purpose-built camera that you would buy, it's not in picture quality. It's not necessarily in megapixels. It's going to be in control. So like one thing an iPhone cannot do It cannot change your f-stop. Like, it just does not have that capability. It will adjust for it electronically, but it does not have a working iris on its lens. It's got a fixed lens. So, I won't go into how that changes the image, but if you're somebody who understands how that changes the image, that's something you're going to want. So then you're like, okay, well, my iPhone's good if it's the only camera I have, or if I'm, at a birthday party or something like that. But if I'm doing photography, with giant bold letters, I'm going to want a camera that gives me the control over those different elements of photography. So that's where the distinction happens. And then you'll also, with more expensive purpose-built cameras, you will get higher resolution. You'll get greater dynamic range. Like when I made the comment that cameras can see in the dark, that's not an exaggeration. Canon has a camera where if you strike a match, you will overexpose it. Like that's too much light for the camera, and you would have to stop it down. That's just amazing. That's remarkable that they've
so
built
cool.
something like that. Yeah, I mean it's just ridiculous. So it's quite fascinating. And it's, whether it's good for society or the right thing to do, that's not my point. My point is just that the camera technology today is better than it was in yesteryear.
What about, out of curiosity, folks like, Danny Boyle filming 28 years later, the first one of that new series of films that he's doing based on 28 days later. He filmed that movie with the iPhone 17 Max, I believe, or the iPhone 17 Pro Max or whatever, the one with the fancy phone or the fancy cameras. Do you think stuff like that, is that a stunt, or is that a valid way to film it? I thought, just for the record, not knowing anything about photography, videography, I thought it sounded like a stunt to me, so that he could then say, "Oh, also I filmed it with with an iPhone." Apple ran a truckload of money.
I would love to hear his justification for that. I'm sure he has some, because Danny Boyle, love him or hate him, he's a thoughtful director. Right? He's not just shooting from the hip. He's got reasons for the things that he does. That one escapes me, because can you make a good looking piece of video with an iPhone? Absolutely, you can. But the difficulty curve to achieve that versus achieving that with a cinema camera, I don't understand why you would choose to do that. And, if you have a shot where it's like it's a super tight space and you can't fit a cinema camera in there, and hey, let's put an iPhone in there, that makes total sense. But to say I am going to purposefully shoot this entire film on an iPhone, I don't get that.
Or you're doing like Top Gun Maverick stuff where you're filming inside the cockpit of a moving jet fighter, and you've got multiple cameras and you've got a tiny, tiny bit of real estate, and every ounce counts, right? Things like that can,
Yeah, then it makes sense, and because there's a purpose behind it. But just to say, hey, this was all filmed on an iPhone, I don't get that. I don't know why Danny Boyle did that. A little bit before Danny Boyle did that, Apple made a big stink where their reveal event, or the press, whatever you call it, where they we filmed this whole thing on the iPhone, I think it was 15. We filmed this whole thing on iPhone 15. And it's like, yeah, you did. But if you look at the behind the scenes, it was like 6 people to each iPhone, to be able to run all the accoutrements that were attached to it to achieve filming that.
Like an iPhone with a telephoto lens or something.
Right. That kind of thing. And it was just like, okay, well, yeah, you filmed it with an iPhone, but that doesn't mean I'm going to pull one out of my pocket and achieve the same results. Like it's a little disingenuous.
He wasn't like accidentally holding it the wrong orientation. Oh, sorry.
The iPhone is smart enough to know the image you meant to capture.
AI,
which we're getting there. That'll happen someday.
Yeah, I mean, so you had mentioned the f-stop thing. I mean, is it digitally? Are they? Is the technology getting good enough where those sort of things that are going to be handled in post in the future at some point?
Yeah. Probably, because going from, just the iPhone a few years ago to the iPhone now, you're seeing computationally them adjusting for those limitations. So like the big thing about the f-stop is that affects your depth of field, where it's like, okay, this part of the picture is in pinpoint focus, and then it falls off out of focus the further it goes back. Like that's what controls that. And so now you're seeing iPhones do that computationally, where because their iris is always wide open, they take a picture where a lot of it is in focus, but then they're saying, okay, your subject is this far away from your background, so mathematically this much would be blurry.
Sure.
So we're gonna adjust the photo that way.
And they're using multiple cameras. You know, you stitch that together with the smarts AI doing, or whatever, whether it's AI or more traditional approaches. But yeah, I could see that.
And to be fair, it does a good job. Like, you know, if you're just taking a picture of your kid, there's not much reason to have more than an iPhone. But it is software. And there are people, most of them in my line of work, who are not comfortable with that. They want it achieved organically, even though at the end of the day, you're capturing to a digital sensor, just like you are on your iPhone. You still have analog controls over all these other things.
Wow. All right. I think that's another really good one. I think most people are going to, are going to get. I mean, there is a charm, absolutely a charm to old cameras. They look cool. You know, it's kind of like watches, right? Like, do I need a watch? No, I got my times on my phone. I still like wearing a watch. So, I think that there's a charm to the old cameras, but I think it stops at the charm with the camera from a utility point of view. The new tech, yeah, it just makes sense. Actually, that's a great one. My last choice, I think, is my most serious and socially profound. Not that Voigt shoes versus New Balance shoes. It doesn't have a lot of social utility, but I think that this is going to be a little bit more important. And that is, and I'm going to qualify this because I don't think everything in this sphere has improved, certainly, but in many ways, healthcare, and maybe I'll get more specific. Medicine, as in the art of medicine, procedures, therapies, techniques, medications have improved and are so much better. And this may seem like an obvious one, but maybe it is. Sometimes they are. The obvious ones are also need to be called out too. It's so much better now than it was, when we were growing up in the 80s and the 90s. A thing like a surgery, which would once keep you in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, is outpatient. You can go home. Mortality rates on different illnesses, have dropped, and there are better ways to treat things like, diabetes and heart disease. It truly is, from, like I said, the medicine itself, not necessarily healthcare broadly and the administration and all that stuff. That's a different topic and probably not one we're going to get into. But medicine now, I would rather be sick today in 2026, as of this recording, than in 1986 or 1996. I've been sick at both times, and I can tell you, better to be, the care is going to be, generally speaking, better today than it was then, and you're going to recover and you're going to feel better for the most part. Now, you might not like the bill when you get it. You may have other things that go along with it that are not great, and I totally understand it. I'm not, avoiding that specifically. But so much about medicine has improved dramatically.
Yeah, if you have access to it, I think it goes without saying that it's better today than at any other point in history, and that's always the thing that crosses my mind whenever somebody genuinely is like, oh geez, wasn't it better back in the blah blah blahs or whatever? And I'm like,
right.
Did you enjoy dying of simple bacteria?
Yes.
It's like that is the science and that aspect of things. Yeah, we're better now than we ever have been. And then 5 years from now, we'll be able to look back and say, oh, we're better now. I'd rather be sick in 31 than I would be in 2026. Oh my goodness. We'll be able to say the same thing. And it just keeps progressing and keeps getting better. Now, as you pointed out, access to it or the ability to get that care, different conversation. But the ability for medicine to cure ails, yeah, it's better today than it ever
And
has
that
been.
conversation is one for a different podcast. And I don't mean a different episode. I mean like a different podcast where they talk about that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not us. I mean, we avoid that sort of, we avoid anything difficult or, slightly controversial. We're going to
Right. No,
let's talk
we just
about
want to
Mario.
have fun. Exactly.
And Mario has a cold, and the medicine he gets today is better than the medicine he got in 1986.
Dr.
He is down in those sewers.
is yes, is superior today than it was in the NES version. There are more pills, there are greater colors. We're able to kill more bacteria. Yes, it's
Mario
superior.
handing out opioids left and right. That's he's yeah. I mean, in generally, it's so obvious, almost, but I do think it does sort of. I think you said it wonderfully. It brings into stark relief this whole "wasn't it better back then" conversation. It's like, oh boy, things like this make you realize, no, not everything was better. Was better back then. Surgeries. I've had surgeries. I had surgeries then. I've had surgeries now, and my first major spine surgery, massively long recovery, and I had, I was in the hospital for 5 days. I had a walker for a period of time. I mean, it was rough, super invasive. I had that same surgery, a revision in the same spot. Had to basically go in and redo it a few years back in my lower back. And it was outpatient. I went home that same day. Still had a tough recovery, but it was nothing like it was back then. And I was older and fatter, so it didn't heal as well. But still, the technology made it better. So much imaging, things like invasive procedures have been cut back because now imaging is so good. They can, without cutting you open, they can see what they need to see. And other approaches that help with the diagnostic process, help get it right the first time, so much better than what we had.
And the precision of the tools, right? I mean, like they can go in and just remove something without damaging anything else around it, which has not always been the case. So
there is a documentary about this. I don't know if you've seen it with Osmosis Jones. That is about a pill, an anthropomorphized pill that this is all real. That gets together with some antibodies, and they take on illness, and it follows that. It's like a hidden camera thing. I think it's kind of following it around, and really opens your eyes to modern medicine.
I'm familiar with it. I didn't realize it was a documentary, so that's fascinating.
Yes.
All right.
Good stuff.
Well, my last one is not the social scale of your last one, so kudos to you for that. But I think you'll appreciate my last one because it is it's undeniably true, and it's a fun one, if I dare say so. But something that is much better today than it was in yesteryear: payment methods.
Yeah.
Being able to pay for something just by tapping my phone against something is so good. It's wonderful. I don't have to mess with cash. Nobody has to do a carbon copy of my credit card that then I have to embarrassingly say, I'm going to need those carbons. I got to tear those up right in front of you. I don't have to get a money order. I don't have to mail a payment. I don't, it's all just online. It's instant. Even on web pages, when I want to order something, it'll pop up and be like, do you want to use Apple Pay? I'm like, heck yeah, I do. And then I just double tap my phone and it's paid for. I don't even have to put in my address. Thank you, technology and world, for making it easier for me to spend my money on things I don't need. It has truly made my life better.
It's amazing that I find myself annoyed when it doesn't have one of those hyper quick checkout options. Like, I'm going to have to punch in my credit card. This is ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not buying this now. Sir, that's life-saving medicine. You must. No, I'm not doing it. It's inconvenienced me by punching. I want to look at it and be paid. I want it to get the biometric data from my face. The lost art of check writing. Do you remember the last time you wrote a check?
It was probably in like 1999.
Oh, wow.
And I gave up checks quickly. And you'll appreciate this. I'm pretty sure the last check I wrote was for a Sega Saturn game at Toys R Us.
Oh, of course.
That's how long ago my last check was.
Apropos, that just works. You encapsulated two dying things: check writing, three dying things: check writing, Toys R Us, and Sega Saturn.
Saturn.
You really triple aim. Well done. We've written a check. I think we're down to probably like 2 a year. Like our homeowners association, they like to collect that money with checks. It's a small, neighborhood thing. Really, it literally, late neighborhood. That's exactly what it is. And there's a couple other things. So we keep a couple of checks in the house, but in the last decade, we probably have written less than 20 checks. I'm 100% with you. This is, yes, you don't have to keep wads of money. Maybe someday we'll do an episode on money. Maybe not. I don't know. But you don't have to keep that with you, or losing it. Otherwise, I'll pull an Uncle Billy and lose all that money, and bad things will happen from there. I could not agree more. Oh, like even check deposit. Today we got a check in the mail, like a $25 refund check for something with car insurance. And just being able to deposit that, like take a picture of it and deposit that. I wish they could get to the point where you could deposit cash that way, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Somebody's working on the technology. I'm sure.
Yes. It's got to just be an NFT.
Yeah.
So no, wow, what a great. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. Forget it. I renounce all things medicine, and PayPal is superior than high tech cancer treatments. I agree.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I wasn't trying to one up you with my choice, but yeah, I embraced like digital money transactions very early. I was one of the first. As soon as PayPal was available, back when it was X.com. I was there. I had an account, and then and just grown with everything since then. And I do feel that the Apple Pay and the Google Wallet is kind of like the final form of payment. Like I really enjoy both of those services and use them every which way I can.
I think that the final form of the payment is probably going to come like in something on your wrist or on your forehead. That
you mean like my Apple Watch?
Well, yeah. You have an Apple Watch like Tiara that you can put on your forehead, maybe with a 3-digit number up there, like a 555 or a 7. Maybe something like 55777. I can't figure it out. One of those, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe something in the middle would be good.
Something in the middle, right? Just split the middle. That might be the final form of simplified payment. Without that, you shouldn't be able to buy or sell.
I was saying final form that I was okay with.
Oh, okay. Oh,
and that I enjoyed using.
This and no further, sir.
Yes. But I love how easy it is. And if like Walmart won't embrace it, and that drives me crazy. It makes me not want to shop at Walmart. They're like, "Would you like to use Walmart Pay?" I'm like, "No, I want to use Apple Pay."
Yeah,
what is
Walmart
your problem?
Pay. I don't even think they have, at least ours doesn't even have tap to pay on the registers. So
they don't, because I don't know, they didn't want to pay the fees, or they thought that they're Walmart and they're better than this. I don't know what the story is, but no, it's infuriating, and it does drive me away as a customer. For any Walmart executives who are listening to this, like just swallow your pride and take Apple Pay. Everybody needs to take some type of digital walleted NFC-based payment method. Like, I mean, if Sonic can do it, come on.
Well, they do, right? Walmart would argue that they do. It's called Walmart Pay. It's
not good enough. Sorry.
I use it because it ties into my Walmart account, and then I earn rewards for my Walmart bucks. But it's so
annoying. You have to scan the QR code, and you have to connect, and it takes forever. First world problems. I acknowledge that.
This is not a good look. Okay. I'm down with that. That is something that is better now. The digital payment methods in the 80s were very limited, and I think this is much better.
I do love the fact that there was a point in history where the way you used a credit card was somebody just did like a rubbing of the numbers on the front of the card.
We trust you, sir. Let me just, it was trust. It was a mutual, right? Contract of trust, right? You were going to trust them with your credit card number. They were going to trust that you didn't just, hammer this out in your workshop in the back. I'm assuming that in the 80s, pre the fully connected systems, right, that they were calling credit card companies and getting, hey, is this real? Does this person have credit? I've got to believe, if listeners know this, reach out to us, let us know how verification was done back.
I mean, to my knowledge, it was done through the mail. Like businesses would just do the scan, and it was only towards the end of that where credit card fraud started to become a thing, and then businesses were like, "Oh, we're getting hosed on this." Then there was especially if there was some kind of red flags or suspicion, then there was the phone authorization. But man, at the beginning of it, it was honor system.
There had to have been sometimes though, like this is a big purchase. You came in to buy a Ford Escort in 1984. Its total cost out the door is $5,800. I'm just gonna use this Mr. Card. I don't know if a Mr. Card is real.
I'm sure there were outlier events, but man, for the most part, it was just like, oh yeah, you got one of these. Let me, swipe my machine back and forth. We're good to go.
Yep. Here's my Diners Club card. That is a real thing. Diners Club.
Yeah, I know. But it was just like in again, speaking of high documentaries, the documentary Catch Me If You Can, where he would just put the Pan Am logo on the check, and the banks would be like, "It looks good to us."
Yeah. No one would fake one of these.
Exactly. So yeah, it amazes me, like the history of money changing is pretty fascinating. And where we are now, I'm happy. I enjoy the process of spending money. I probably enjoy that a little too much if you ask my wife, but
a little more inconvenience might actually be helpful. I truly, I'm one of those people who that I cancel a lot of digital purchases right after I've made them. A lot of online purchases because like, oh, that was too easy, and I thought about it I thought about it for an extra 30 seconds, and then immediately canceled it. I did that with a pillow. I bought a pillow last night on eBay. It was new. It was a new pillow. I didn't buy a used pillow, but it was a particular brand, and it was a particular style that it discontinued from Casper, and I wanted it, and it was a little high, and I bought it, and then I realized, I overpaid for shipping, and I'll go buy a different one locally, and I did. It was, but I canceled it 5 minutes later, and so I actually would appreciate like a 5-minute waiting period on digital purchases. It really would help me make more.
There's got to be an app for that, and if not,
I'm sure
that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, sure. Like you queue it up, and then you've got 12 hours before it actually places the order. And
yeah,
that couldn't go wrong either. No one could hijack that and intercept that. And, well, Chris, I think we've done a lot of looking back, and instead of talking about how great things were, we've looked back and realized that maybe nostalgia, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Indeed, good sir. But I say that I would love to hear what bad old day things our listeners can come up with. What are the things that we didn't mention? I mean, I could have done another list of 3, Dave. I'm sure you could have, but we can't be here all night. So this was our top choices. What do you guys think is better today than it was in yesteryear? And I say that for my part, next episode, I won't be singing this song. I'll be talking about how great it was in the past and how crappy today is.
Yeah, we'll forget about this. Short memories here at T-Mag. Short-term memories, long-term memories. Figure that one out. Diagram that sentence and let us know. Yeah, hit us up. I want to hear, dear listeners, about your favorite off-brand shoes, and tell us about your adventures with Voigts. And other, I'm struggling to remember some other ones. That was definitely the easiest one to remember. Them, blowing off your feet after walking for a quarter mile on a nice sunny day. They just didn't have it. The $13 shoes just didn't have it in them to last. Tell us about those, Chris. Where can they reach us?
they can reach us on Facebook. Just get on that Facebook, search for Two Middle-Aged Guys, and you will find us. You'll find the little stick figure logo that is so connected with our brand, and that is where you interact with us now. So from there, you can send us a message. You want to pull up email and just type in an email address, you can do that, and you can reach us at twomiddeagedguys@gmail.com. That's two middle-aged guys, the numeral 2 middle-aged guys at gmail.com. Find us there. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible. We're on Audible, which I think is cool. Like, that's where the audiobooks live, and you can find our little podcast.
We are literary adjacent.
Exactly. So there are a lot of places you can find us. If nothing else, just pull up Google, search for Two Middle-Aged Guys, and you will find something that brings you here.
Yes. Well, we'd love to hear from you. Learned a lot today that we will, not remember for next time. But maybe we will. Maybe we'll do a follow-up. And, we were wrong. All of those things are worse.
It really was better back in our day.
It really was better. Yeah.
All right, Dave. Take care, and listeners, until next time.